Hello. Some people have said they don't like my intros, so here's your intro for today. Okay, today we are going to write and solve equations with variables on each side. You may start taking notes on page 137. Remember, if you do not have your book, write these problems on a separate sheet of paper and show me your notes so I have proof that you saw this video. There will be little things for you to write on your notes for me to check. So the last section we solved equations. Today we're going to go a step further and first write the equations that we have to solve. So this section especially, these problems can get really tricky. So I want you to pause and rewind and go back as many times as you need to make sure you understand these problems and understand the solutions. And of course we will go over a lot of these problems in class, but it will be important for you to read these problems in this video and try to understand them before you get to class. So a lot of real-world problems can be modeled using equations. For instance, I'll let you read through this one. And we could say this in words, in variables, with an equation. So you can just pause this for a second and read through here. And then we're going to look at some examples. So here's the first problem we're going to try together. We want to model this problem with an equation and then solve the equation. So Green's Gym charges a one-time application fee of $50 plus $30 per session on a personal trainer. Breakout Gym charges an annual fee of $250 plus $10 for each session with a personal trainer. For how many sessions is the cost of the two plans the same? So when you say the word the same, for how many sessions are the costs of the two plans equal? So there's our equal sign. So on one side, we want an expression that represents the cost for Green's Gym, and on the other side, we want an expression that represents the cost for Breakout Gym. So let's look at each sentence, and each sentence is going to correlate to one side of this equation. So Green's Gym charges a one-time application fee of $50 plus $30 per session for a personal trainer. So if we have our variable, I'm going to call it x, we're going to let x represent the number of sessions with a personal trainer, because we want to find how many sessions. So when we're solving for x, we're solving for how many sessions are these two the same. So if you look back at Green's Gym, it's $50 plus $30 per session. So we could say 30 times x. Does that make sense? If not, pause it, read through it again, and see if you can understand where that comes from. Breakout Gym charges an annual fee of $250 plus $10 for each session. So you could almost take this word for word to write the equation. 250 plus 10 per session would mean 10x. And then once you have the equation, it's solving like we've been doing the last few days. But again, pause, rewind, reread if you have to make sense of where this equation comes from. So now we're solving. We have variables on both sides. Remember, we want variables on only one side. So I'm going to subtract 10x from both sides here. And so this is 50 plus 20x equals 250, and that cancels out. And then remember, we want to get x alone, so we have to get rid of the 20 and the 50. We'll start with the 50. So we subtract 50 from both sides, and I'm going to write it over here. That gives us 20x equals 200. That cancels. and then divide both sides by 20, and we get x equals 10. So now going back to the question, for how many sessions is the cost of the two plans the same? Well, it would be the same if we did 10 sessions. So if we did 10 sessions, then the cost of these is the same. If you do more than 10, this is going to be your better deal. If you do less than 10, then this would be your better deal. Let's look at another example. Container A has 800 liters of liquid and is being drained at a rate of 6 liters per minute. Container B has 350 liters of water and is being filled at a rate of 2 liters per minute. After how many minutes will the two containers have the same amount? So when are A and B going to be equal? Well, again, let's look at each of these separately. Container A has 800 liters to start out, but it's being drained at a rate of 6 liters per minute. So we're taking away 6 liters per minute. And I'm going to use M since we want to know how many minutes. So we can use, M. It doesn't have to always be X. And container B has 350 liters, but it's being filled, so we're adding to that 2 liters per minute. So here's the equation that we are going to solve. Again, if it doesn't make sense, pause, go back and see if you can make sense of it and understand it. Again, we will go over questions together in class, but now we have to solve it. So I could start by getting variables on one side. Again, they don't always have to go on the left, but I'm just keeping it consistent. So 2m, we subtract 2m to get rid of that, and this is 800 minus 8m. Negative 6 minus 2 is negative 8 equals 350. And then with these two numbers here, the 8 stays with the m till the end, but we have to get rid of the 800. So we're going to subtract 800 from both sides. So this cancels out and we get negative 8m equals negative 450. And then divide by negative 8. So again, if you forgot how to do these steps, just pause and go back and see if you can write down and remember. But we get then that m is 56.25. So this means after 56.25 minutes, these two containers will have the same amount of water. All right, is that it? Oh yeah. So now pause the video and you guys try the problem at the top of page 139. And then we're going to look at one or two other examples here. So Ryan's rental charges $40 per day plus 25 cents per mile. Road trips charges $25 per day plus 45 cents per mile. For what number of miles is the daily cost the same or equal? So $40 a day plus 25 cents per mile, and I'll use M again for miles here. And road trips is 25 per day plus 45 cents for each mile. So M is the number of miles, and it costs 25 cents for each mile plus $40 for the day. Here it's 45 cents per each mile plus 25 for the day. And again, same thing, except now we do have decimals, but we still solve these the same way even though we have decimals in here. So I'm going to subtract 0.45m. Remember, we want the variables on only one side. So we subtract so that there's no variables on the right-hand side. Bring down the 40. 0.25 minus 0.45. Especially with the decimals, it's probably a good idea to just use your calculator to check so you don't make errors in that part of the calculation. So 0.25 minus 0.45 is negative 0.2 m. And then we're going to subtract 40 from both sides. So negative 0.2 m equals negative 15. And then divide that by negative 0.2. And so m equals 75. So at 75 miles, the cost is going to be the same. So you guys try this one, and we will go over this together in class, both page 139 and 140, and check those answers together. And if there's any questions that you have on any of the examples that we did, make sure to write that in the margins so that you remember to ask in class tomorrow. Okay, thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and comment down below how you feel about these word problems. Also, in your notes, write down what happened. And I'm going to check that on what day? Wednesday. Wednesday is when this is due. Okay, bye.